you are new, thank you so much for joining us and checking us out. If you're returning, thank you so much for coming back and continuing to watch us.
Yay!
Yay!
So, full disclosure, we filmed an entire episode last night.
An entire one.
And the file was corrupt.
What happened was, my computer ran out of space, and then it popped up with a message, and little did we know, it actually wasn't going to work after that point. But it acted like it was still recording, so we just went ahead with it.
So out of like almost an hour and a half of video, we had a 50-second clip of me complaining about my sunburn. So now we're in a new location.
Good too. It's so frustrating when things like that happen, because now we have to do it all over again.
But there were a couple people on Instagram, other podcasters, that were saying it happens to them all the time. So
I think it's just part of the territory. You gotta deal with stuff like that sometimes.
Yeah.
So.
And we're using Carrie's fancy new laptop. So we're getting used to filming on that instead of the iPad or the point and shoot camera or the really fancy camera.
So many things. I think the quality looks okay.
Yeah. So let us know if you have feedback, especially if you're another podcaster and there's something that you do that is especially helpful. What are you drinking this morning? I just made a coffee run for the both of us at the coffee shop that's on the way to Carrie's house.
I am drinking, courtesy of Kelly Custer, a London Fog. Why did I have to look at the name? I know what I'm drinking. But it's a special picky person London Fog because it has almond milk that's not sweetened.
I had to ask the lady
sugar
at the coffee shop, and she was really nice, so she must get asked that all the time. But it's an unsweetened London Fog, which is basically a tea bag and some steamed unsweetened almond milk on top.
But it's still really good, but it's not as sweet as normal, obviously.
I got a normal London Fog and a breakfast sandwich that Carrie won't let me eat because she said it's noisy. So anyways, this is a knitting and spinning and dyeing kind of and other yarny goodness podcast. So we should get to that.
For our first segment, Finished Objects, this is where we talk about things that we have finished, and Kelly has a finished object that she is wearing today.
Yay!
Yay!
So this is my Out of Winter shawl, and the pattern was recently released on Ravelry. This was a test knit that I did for Tammy Gore, Tammy with one M and a Y.
I think you need to show it closer.
Okay, I'll bring it up close because this, I have to put, my coffee down.
Oh my gosh. You spill that?
So this was my first ever attempt at lace knitting, and I think I did pretty good.
It's really cute, and the colors are really complimentary. And I said, it looks like, it reminds me of Narnia, and it's called, what, the Out of Winter shawl?
Out of Winter.
So you know how that part in Narnia where it's winter and
I don't know that part because I've never read the books or seen the movies.
Alright, we need to stop right now and have a Narnia marathon.
Anyways, so the speckled color is Trapper Keeper from Beautiful Mess Yarnworks, and the red tonal is Flaming June from the Alpaca Yarn Company.
And this was actually a sock and heel set that you just decided to
heels
use
and toes.
For...
I used the heel color, which was a light pink for baby socks for a friend, and then I had the red, which would have been enough for probably a shorty pair of socks, but I thought it went awesome with this Trapper Keeper, and I don't have a lot of red in my wardrobe.
Did you use it all?
No, I still have a, chunky little cupcake size
saying.
left. Instead of the whole cake, I have a cupcake. So yeah, this is my finished object. The one thing I will say is I used my Harmony interchangeable set from Knit Picks in a size 6, I believe is what the pattern called for, and it was really difficult there's a knit 4 together in the lace that was so hard because the interchangeables are basically as sharp as a spoon, the Harmony set. So I think next time I do a lace pattern, I'm going to get a pair of higher sharps.
Yeah.
Because they were not pointy. It was so dull, and then I'm trying to, jam it through, and, But it came out well. I love it. I love the scalloped edge, which I did with blocking wires. So, yeah. Cool. I'm pretty proud of it.
And I don't have a finished object.
It is hot up in here.
So we're going to move on to our next segment.
Whips and Hoes!
So, this is obviously things that we are working on, works in progress. I have something I've been working on. It's actually a hoe. Mom, if you're watching this, you might want to skip ahead if you don't want a spoiler. So this is for my mom. It's a late Mother's Day present. So, just a little bit late.
A little bit late? Like, it's basically the next Mother's Day already.
Yeah.
But they're cute. Are you going to show
So,
them?
I'm going to show them.
Wait.
So I know I showed the yarn before. This is Knit Picks Stroll Tonal Sock Yarn. It's in the color Frozen Tonal, I believe. And I use this pattern that is free on Ravelry. It's called the Honey Badger.
Look at you printing your patterns in color. You classy.
Yeah, I didn't, but look at it. Obviously I'm running out of pink.
I was like, what kind of yarn
This
is that?
is by the Irish Girly Knits, and it's a really easy pattern, and look at it. I think it's so beautiful and cute.
Here,
and
give it to the one with the long arms.
Thank you. So, it's basically a lace pattern, I guess.
It's like eyelets.
Yeah.
Is that a slip stitch? Probably.
I think it is.
That is
really easy knit.
adorable.
And I realized after I had done most of it that it's a little narrow. I think it'll be fine. It's just not really easy to, like, pull on over your foot, so you kind of have to be careful about it. But
she's gonna love
it'll
these.
be okay. I think she will, too. So
I'm gonna love them when you knit me a pair, too.
I need to knit myself
So cute.
socks to fit in my box before I knit anybody else socks, and until Christmas.
And this, it only took you a week?
Yeah.
Because you started it after we filmed last week.
Did we film last week or the week before?
I don't remember.
I was trying to remember.
But
But I was knitting on this at work. So I did most of this in like 3 days. It was pretty fantastic. So
must have been
It's a
slow
good summer
days at the
job.
park.
yeah, I mean,
People are coming
Just
up like,
there.
ma'am, we have a question. Sorry.
yeah, I'm like, hold on, I have to finish this row.
Just start counting out
Basically.
loud.
So that's my only. Well, no, I have another whip, but you can go for your next one.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so I have kind of 2 works in progress and one that's about to be started. The first one is my ball winder.
Jankety.
Jankety, a mind of its own. It was one that I bought at Michael's with a 95% off
I like
coupon.
it.
I think it has to do with like the tension on my Swift and my ball winder. But anyways, this is the cake of this yarn. It is Tempting You Yarns, the Neon Splatter Dash colorway. You So Sparkly Sock is the base, and it is so sparkly. It's a 75 merino, 20 nylon, 5 sparkle.
It's really pretty.
Thanks. That was from Maryland Sheep and Wool. It's
So
the
many
only
colors.
skein of yarn I bought at Maryland Sheep and Wool.
But then you bought all that yarn afterwards to make
Then
up for it.
Then I bought a spinning wheel. So this is the sock that I'm making with it. This is the zigzagular sock.
It's awesome.
And I'm calling these my zigzombular socks because
Look at
I
all
think
the colors in this.
the yarn looks like a zombie apocalypse.
That is so neat.
And I'm pretty much obsessed with The Walking Dead. So, yeah.
And you have your little skull stitch marker.
Yeah, that came from Allie of the Get Lit Knit podcast. She sent that to me in a swap.
And you
So-
said KT is doing these.
Yeah, KT's doing those, but she's calling them the Boy Who Lived socks because she said that reminds her of Harry Potter's scar. But the pattern is free on Ravelry, and it's by Susie White, who is one half of the Prairie Girl Designs group.
That's
So,
pretty
yeah.
neat that it's a free pattern. You said it's just kind of like a bunch of pearls and
It's a
things like
pearl,
that.
and then you twist to the front and knit through the back loop, which were both 2 new techniques to me, and I love them.
And did you talk about your rib?
Yeah!
Kelly did a
So
twisted
if you watch my
rib.
Periscope, you know that I absolutely hate 1x1 ribbing, but this is a 1x1 twisted rib, and it is fun!
Twisted rib is really fun. It's
I think it's so
my favorite
cute.
technique.
And I love that
For
these
ribbing.
2 ribs start the zigzag pattern.
Yeah,
You can see that. It's really seamless, and I love it.
super cute.
I am knitting these on 1.5 Chiagu lace. And these are my go-to magic loop needles. This was on the way to the beach, car knitting. So I went to the beach this weekend.
And you'll talk more about that.
And I'll talk more about that later.
So then my other whip, I have added...
I made this.
She made that. I've added sleeves to my sweater.
I really did think you finished. Somebody posted on our Ravelry group about last episode. We couldn't figure out if the sleeves were long enough, if they were too long, if they were short. And you got a lot of comments about how nice the sweater looks and how to do the sleeves.
Yeah.
So when you answered those, I really thought you had the sleeves done.
The sleeves are done.
I thought you had the sweater done.
Okay, so once I attached the sleeves, it wasn't like doing it while reading. Doing it while reading the pattern was a lot better than just like reading the pattern and trying to visualize it because I was like, I have no clue what this means. So it actually looks like a sweater now.
Oh my goodness! It's a sleeve, and there's one over there.
I can't believe it.
We have to hold this up against the white so that you can see. Look at the owl pattern.
I knit a sweater.
This is a sweater. You can put it on now, so I think it qualifies as a sweater.
I tried to try it on,
so
but it didn't work out well because of the cable wire thing. What do you call that?
The cable is too short.
Yeah, the cable's too short. I can't wait till I can try this on and be like, I made this.
I have a
sweater and I made it.
60-inch cable, I think, at home. If you want to borrow it. So yeah. So the sleeves, did you pick up stitches and attach the sleeves?
So basically, you knit like the front panel, and then you just knit from the top of the sleeve, and then what happens is you have this underarm hole.
For ventilation.
For ventilation. Exactly. So eventually, obviously, I'm going to do a Kitchener stitch on this to close up the underarm holes.
Is it going to be inside out?
No.
Carrie has a bad habit of doing her Kitchener stitch inside out.
Did you show it?
No,
My Kitchener on this is inside out.
Almost always inside out. I think that should just be your thing now.
No, not almost always. This is only the second time I've done it. Because when I was at work, I wasn't able to look up how to start the Kitchener stitch. So I did it backwards. But anyways.
It's beautiful.
It won't be backwards on my sweater. Maybe. Maybe not.
And if it is, it's under the arm, so it doesn't really matter.
So basically what I have left is these owls kind of like shrink as they go up to the yoke. And then there's a button band that you add on, like pick up stitches and add it on. And then I'll have to pick some buttons.
I think you should do wooden buttons or owl-shaped buttons.
Yeah. I think wooden buttons would be really cute.
That would be cute.
So
maybe you can get ones that look
buttons.
like wands.
Wands! Or something like
sticks.
Something else Harry Potter related.
Cauldrons.
There's an idea.
Cauldron buttons. But then people would be like, she's a witch.
That's true. I don't really want people to think that about me.
Good sound effect. Alright. So
do you have any more whips?
Yeah, I do. So I said on last week's episode and on my Periscope that everyone I know is having a baby.
I'm not.
I'm not. Everyone I know except for Carrie and myself are having babies. Coworkers are having babies. Relatives are having babies. I think it's the age group that we're in now. 27 to early 30s. People are just cranking them out. So that means a lot of knitting for me. And that also meant a trip to the library because I was having a hard time on Ravelry. There are like 8,000 baby patterns. So I needed somebody else to narrow down the field, which is why I picked up this book, Knit in a Day for Baby. And this is by Candy Jensen. It's a leisure arts book, and it came from my local library. And I think the idea of knit in a day is hilarious. Because I don't know who these people are that are knitting these things in a day, but it was not me.
Knit in a day.
The really cool thing about this book is it has sweaters. I'll just show the table of contents. Because if you don't get it from the library, it is a paid book. But it has sweaters, it has mittens, it has hats, it has little blankets, little booties, washcloths, all sorts of stuff. So I took a little bit of this sweater. It's a seed stitch cardigan. I was not going to do seed stitch because even though I flick my yarn, which makes seed stitch go a little bit faster, it just seemed like it was going to take forever, and this baby shower is in 2 weeks. So instead, I just did a regular stockinette. Stockinette, basically a rectangle right now. You knit for 6.5 inches and then do some sleeves, and it all comes together. I did not do a gauge swatch because I'm thinking...
But you decided...
Yeah.
Because the baby...
Even if it doesn't fit her until she's 14 years old,
grow into it.
She'll grow into it. And I really was trying to think practically, like, there's no point in making a newborn to 3-month size sweater because the babies, like, sometimes they come out and they're bigger than that. So this...
Unless it's really tiny, it should be okay.
Yeah, I'm thinking regardless of the gauge of this or the sizing, it'll fit her at some point.
And you're using these ancient Susan Bates
Yes.
nails.
I was messaging Carrie because I could not, my interchangeable 9s are getting ready for another project and I didn't want to use them for this. So I dug through my original knitting needles.
Let's talk about how short I am right now.
And I found these Susan Bates.
Now we're the same.
I'm sweating. It's so hot.
Should I open the window?
No.
I can't.
I just suffered. So, size 9, Susan Bates needles. This is some acrylic from my stash because I didn't want to give something that had special care instructions. I can imagine with a newborn around that you're not going to want to be like hand washing little tiny sweaters. So that's what I'm working on now. From that book, I'm also going to knit some washcloths for another friend and a couple of bibs, and I have one more sweater in the works. The one weird thing about these sweaters, which I think is how they get them done in a day, is you're supposed to hold worsted weight yarn double. That's
which we
extra
both thought
bulky.
was kind of odd. We haven't done that before, and
I've seen patterns that do it, but in those patterns it makes sense because you're going for a thicker looking fabric.
But why not just use a thicker weight yarn?
I don't know, I'm not that advanced yet. So that book came from my library, and everything else was from Stash.
Cool. So we're ready for our next segment. So this is the segment where we talk about our new ventures in spinning. Maybe not so new at this point for Kelly. And my new venture in something. Should I go first?
Yes.
Okay, so I think I posted on Instagram that I tried dyeing for the very first time this past week.
You didn't post it on Instagram. You posted a teaser about getting a package from Knit Picks.
I posted a teaser of my materials for dyeing, too. So, I dyed 2 skeins. I used fiber from Knit Picks. Is that what you call it?
It's not fiber.
It is fiber, though.
Yarn.
But it's fiber.
Well, that's what I would call like the raw stuff before spinning.
But you spin it and it's still fiber. I'm trying to think of an analogy. That's like, you're a human. And
this is going
when you change your clothes, you're still a human. Okay, anyway.
I'll just wait.
You get it? Okay,
Get
so
it out and
I got
restart.
the bear skein from Knit Picks. I dyed 2 of the skeins using my Greener Shades dye that I got from the Maryland Sheep and Wool Festival, and I used tutorials from Nicole from Hugh Loco podcast and some other Ravelry type group things. So I dyed 2 skeins. This is the first one that I dyed, and I think it's really, really pretty, and I'm happy with how it came out. But this basically...
Look how sparkly it is.
It's really sparkly. This is just a color that came in the kit that I just added to the pot, and that was it. So it's not, like, really that special, like, ooh, look what I made.
It is special.
Because,
you need it.
I mean, it is special, but, like, your first time dyeing, it's kind of foolproof to just, like, choose a solid color. because then you know it's going to come out good. So we
I
decided...
like that it's still a little bit tonal.
Yeah, it's still tonal. We decided we would... Okay,
I thought it looked like the blue meth from Breaking Bad.
I'm going to call it Sea Glass. And Kelly said that she thinks that's a good name, too. So, Sea Glass. And one problem I had with this was...
It's showing up a little darker on screen than it is. It's more of
Right,
like
it's lighter.
an Elsa blue.
It's kind of vibrant of a blue. But one problem I had with this was I don't think I heated up the pot enough. Either that or I didn't add enough citric acid. Because when I was trying to wash it in my basin afterwards, the water kept turning blue, and I rinsed it, like, I don't even know how many times, like 10 or more, and I was like, I can't rinse this thing anymore, because it was still turning a little bit blue. So I gave up, so when they're actually socks, I'm going to have to wash them by themselves.
With this yarn, the Trapper Keeper was originally a white cream-colored base, and when I blocked it, that red bled, and I, like, quick pulled it out.
Yeah.
Because I know there's something that you can put in the bath for it to not bleed like that. I didn't have any of it. So I like dunked it in, saw it was bleeding, and pulled it out really fast. But that's something you're just going to have to remember, that you couldn't combine that with a light colored yarn.
Should I close the window? Do you think you can hear the mower?
They probably can. Maybe it'll go away.
So yeah, if you have tips on why this kept bleeding, other than, you know, I didn't heat it enough, not enough citric acid, which I think is it, you can let me know in the comments. So that's the first one. The other one, I think I jumped the gun a little bit, and I tried to be, like, more
advanced
creative.
placement. You went from, like,
Before I
college
had the
prep
skills.
classes to advanced placement is what happened in the school world.
So basically, I wanted, like, a yellow, a peach, and, like, a mint green. And you know how when you're painting, if you want pink from red, you add white. So I was like, well, I'll just add more water and less dye. But turns out that's not really, like, the science behind it. You would need to...
That's not how this works.
Mix...
That's not how any of this works.
You need to mix the colors, like red with yellow and other colors, like the opposite, to mute and things like that. So, like, after I dyed this, I bought a $5 book from Greener Shades that tells you all the dye formulas so that you can make all these different colors.
That's awesome.
So, my bad, I looked at it after I did this. So
But
it
it
didn't
still
come out
turned out
exactly
nice.
like I thought it would. But it's not bad. It's not terrible.
Can I take the skein apart?
Yeah. As long as you don't tangle it. I don't love it. And actually, funny story about this, because it looks a little tangled, and I will tell you why. So,
look at your speckles, though.
it looks pretty cool. I'm not extremely, like, over the moon about it, but it looks okay. So, I had this hanging drying on my porch. Went somewhere, came back, and it was gone. It wasn't hanging on my porch anymore.
You didn't tell me about this.
I forgot. So, I looked around. It was in my neighbor's trash can. With my hanger that I had it hanging up with. Flies all around it. I'm not even lying. And I, like, picked it out, and I was like, no! Because, like, it was a little bit tangled. I'm assuming it blew onto their porch, and they didn't know what it was. So
Why would you throw this away, though? Like, it's obviously not something that goes in the trash.
But I
People
find
have no
it,
respect.
I'm just assuming. I find it hard to believe it blew right into the trash can.
They were like,
It was making a run for it.
Look at those colors, though. When
It does
you
look
kind of
pretty cool.
restain it.
And I think it'll knit up really neat, like variegated and stuff. And Kelly and I decided we'd call this Twisted Lemonade. Because Kelly said it looks like strawberry lemonade, but then it has these, like, funky green parts. So, yeah. So,
You did good. I'm proud of you.
And I just want to say, if you guys have, like, great resources for dyeing that you use a lot, please leave it in the comments or on our Ravelry group. I know, it looks dark.
It does.
Because I would love more resources. So,
I think the computer
much
heard you.
appreciated. I think it did too.
So that was been your
that's
new
my venture.
crafting adventure.
Yes.
All right, Tour de Fleece has begun. Tour de Fleece is a friendly. KT used a better word to describe it. It's not really a competition. It's more of a challenge, is what she said. So it's a challenge for yourself, and you can get on a team. I didn't do a team through Ravelry. I joined a team through our local yarn store, Flying Fibers. And it's more of a Facebook group to post progress. But then you can also claim what challenges you're doing. This is my first year spinning, so I'll be a beginner. And then you can also try to do sprints where you spin as much as you can in a day. You can do climbs, which is a challenge day, so you spin something that's new to you or more difficult to spin.
Pretty neat of an idea.
Yeah, it's fun.
I was reading about it, so like while they're biking and their wheels are spinning, your wheel is always spinning.
And we actually, at the beach, we were watching a little bit of the real tour, and I was fascinated. I am not a sports watcher, per se.
Me neither.
But it's really interesting, like, the colors of their clothes all signify, like, where they are in the race or what they're doing that day. So my Tour de Fleece started one day late. I was going to bring my drop spindle to the beach, but it really hurts my shoulders. And I didn't want to be in shoulder pain and be at the beach. So I decided just to wait and spin when I got home. And I made this!
That, I think, is your best yet.
Thank you!
The weight of it is very consistent.
It's so consistent. And this was basically an hour last night and an hour this morning of spinning. It is a mixed BFL fiber from Flying Fibers near Lancaster. The fiber doesn't come from their farm, but I think it is a local farm. I did buy some of their fiber to spin during the tour. But what my plan is, obviously this was a mixed, so it automatically barber poles does that striping.
But I think that looks good.
Yeah, I like this. I spun it pretty thin because I wanted to ply it and see what happens. So this is 2 ounces of fiber.
Cool.
And that compared to this, which is one of the first, this is probably the second bobbin of fiber I ever spun about a month and a half ago.
The colors are so awesome.
The colors are awesome. This is an Into the World fiber bag of fiber that I bought at Maryland Sheep and Wool. The colors are incredible. And this is the one, if you watched last week, I tried to Navajo ply this and got a little bit, probably 20 yards into it, and it broke. And then it was really overspun. So I took it off, I rinsed it, I hung it with weights, which was a recommendation thanks to you guys.
Because last time you showed it, it was really
like a bungee cord. It was like, ring!
Yeah.
And it's not supposed to be that way. So a couple people suggested that I soak it and then hang it with weights on the bottom, which is a plus and minus. It did balance out the skein, but I heard then when you go to knit it, it can kind of throw off your gauge, but I'll just knit something that gauge doesn't really make a difference in, like a nice washcloth.
There you go.
But this you can tell, like, my spinning's not nearly as consistent on this. There are some of those, like, really, really overspun pieces. But, yeah. So today I'm going to Navajo ply this again. I'm going to try it.
And you said Navajo plying is when it goes, like, in on itself almost?
Yeah, you're basically taking a single and turning it into a 3-ply because you make a little triangle and then you pull through that. So it's a 3-ply. Similar to when you crochet and make a chain. Navajo plying is also called chain plying. I've been using Craftsy classes and a lot of YouTube videos to help out. I also got a book, which I haven't started reading yet. So there's my spinning. I love this. This I love.
Yes. Did you spin all of it, or is there more?
No, I still have 2 more ounces. So what I did, it came in a little ball. I got my kitchen scale out. I weighed out about 2 ounces, minus the part that you tried to spin last night. I weighed out about 2 ounces and then split the ball so that I'd have 2 2-ounce pieces. And then if you spin them pretty consistently, you can 2-ply them together.
Cool.
Yeah, I tried to teach Carrie to spin last night, and what we learned is that I am made to teach in a classroom academics and autism support. I am not meant to teach spinning. So I think we are going to look into the Flying Fibers class. So actual people who know how to spin can teach us better techniques, other than me being like, no, that's not how you do it. She's like, well, what am I supposed to do? I was like, not that.
What do I do?
Then
How
at
do I
one
move
point,
my feet?
we just took all the fiber off, and she was just like treadling. She's like, I like this part. I'm like, you're not actually doing anything.
Yarn.
So yeah, that's what we've been working on.
Cool. Next segment.
Yeah, I don't think I have any other spinning, and you haven't used your drop spindle at all?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
So,
the oops, I did it again.
I did it again! So this is our segment where we show newly acquired yarn and crafty things and basically anything that we have acquired.
Yeah.
Or purchased.
You want to go first?
I'll go first. So I did show on my Instagram feed that I got a Knit Picks package. So the one thing I did get for dyeing was bear skeins. So this is like a really cheap,
70%.
affordable, maybe I should use that word instead. Affordable skein. These ones that I dyed, it looked like this beforehand. I got 3 of these. They were on clearance. That's why I got them. What is it? It
is wool and stellina and nylon. 70, 25, 5.
And it's really soft.
It's 463 yards, too.
Yeah.
That's a lot. That's a whole pair of socks.
So you can make a whole pair of socks. It was like $6. Did I say that already? So it was really affordable. And then I got this one, which is a bear Felici, which I thought would be pretty cool.
So that is the same base as this without the stellina.
Is it?
I'm guessing. Yeah, this one's 75 wool, 25 nylon. So it's just more nylon and without the stellina.
So these are the only bear skeins that I have left to practice with, and then I'll be looking to order some more probably because I really love it. It's really fun mixing colors and doing things like that.
I would hate it.
I kind of feel that way about spinning. Like, I like the idea, but I don't know if I love it.
I think
that's kind of changing because of her, so thanks a lot.
One of my goals for the tour is to spin bear wool or bear fiber into yarn so that you can dye it.
Yay! So, yeah, these are the only 2 I have left. And I do want to say, where do you dyers get your
It's almost like wholesale is what you want to look
skeins? Because I want to get, like, a good amount for a good price, and I don't really know where I would do that. So, if you could leave that in the comments or on our Ravelry group, that would be fantastic. And also, I got some Felici! I'm so excited about this Felici. As soon as it came in the mail, I was like, oh, I love it, and I immediately wanted to order more. So I think
I don't think there's going to be any more left. People were losing their yarny minds over this stuff.
I got
on
2
Instagram.
different colors. This is the first one.
This is called Sprinkles.
This is Sprinkles. How amazing.
So cute. This reminds me of my Easter socks.
Yeah, a little bit.
That was Patton's Croy
Sweet
Stripes.
Amazingly soft and squishy. It's like a very, what word did you use yesterday? Like, the self-striping is very, like...
Oh, it's obvious, like big chunks of stripes. These are going to be striped socks.
That one, and then I chose the dark side.
This is awesome! These are like my colors
It's a dark version of the rainbow, so it has all the rainbow colors, but the dark version. So, dark side, love it. Immediately wanted to order more, and I probably will.
So you're definitely making socks?
Yes.
Are you going to do vanilla socks because it's striped? Or are you going to do...
Actually, that's a good question. Have you seen the geek socks?
Yes!
That Grocery Girls have done with stripes? They turn out so cool. With
they look almost chevron, but like little. That's
so I'm
such
going to do
idea.
that with at least one pair of these.
Now I have to go and see if I have any stripe yarn and maybe we can...
Yeah.
Yay!
So that's my oops, I did it again. And yours?
So I have 2.
Okay.
The first one I'll do because it's unrelated to something else.
Okay.
So, like I said, I went to the beach this weekend because my brother proposed to his girlfriend.
Yay! So exciting for them.
They've been together since they were 16. For 7 years they've been together.
Aww.
They have 2 adorable, beautiful, handsome young boys, and they have finally decided that they're going to get married. They basically do everything.
And Holly's wanted this for a long time.
Holly's wanted this forever, and I think they did it the perfect way. Like, they didn't rush into anything. They didn't give to family pressure. And my brother is a mechanic. He's a diesel mechanic. Like, everyone in my family is a mechanic, except for myself. So he's very rugged and not the most romantic person on the planet. He called me a couple weeks ago and asked He told me he was going to propose, and he was asking, like, my advice for him. So I told him 2 things. I said, make sure that her nails are done, because everybody takes pictures of their rings, and my nails were not done, and I remember looking back at those pictures and being like, whew, man, I had, like, chipped up nail polish. So I said, make sure her nails are done, which he then called her mom and kind of set up, like, a nail date where she had no idea that's why they were going.
That's
and it was
cute.
ironic because she got love written on her ring finger.
I was wondering how he did that. Like, go get your nails done, Holly. Because that would be really obvious, I feel like.
No, he called her mom.
And her mom
And her mom called her and said, hey, let's go get her nails done.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And the other thing I said is to make sure you have pictures. Holly is super sentimental and has basically been planning her engagement/wedding since she was little.
Aww.
Wanted it to be on the beach, which my brother totally did. He set up his GoPro and had it take time-lapse pictures.
So cute.
So it is so cute. And they went down, I watched my nephews for a day, and my mom had them for another day so that they could go down early and have time to themselves, and my brother proposed to her on the beach. So then my whole family came
just
down.
Just like she wanted.
Yeah, just
it's
like
adorable.
she wanted. It's so cute. They have, like, a country music kind of
I'm
love.
so excited for them.
And now it's just the excitement of planning everything. And I'm actually more excited to help with their wedding than I was planning my own wedding. Because you're a little bit removed from it.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Holly is, it's going to be like a Shania, like if Shania Twain got married over again.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So we're now excited about that. But my whole family went down to Ocean City after the proposal to celebrate with them. And I ended up at Salty Yarns. So cute. It is right on the boardwalk in Ocean City.
And I'm going to Ocean City the end of July. And I'm going to go to that store.
It's on 8th Street, so it's almost like right before the party side of the boardwalk starts. But it's mostly needlepoint and needlecraft, which I have tried and I'm okay at. It's just too slow for me, and my eyes get really tired really fast. But thankfully, they did have a little yarn section. I didn't find any yarn that I was crazy about. It was a lot of Noro, which I'm not sure how I feel about Noro yarns yet. I haven't used them, but I don't know. I can't envision wearing anything made out of that yarn.
Yeah.
But I did find this. I don't know if you say this mater or matter, but it's by Carrie Bostic Hodge, and I've heard of her all throughout the knitting world. I bought this because it is a beautiful...
It is the cutest book.
And
Everything in it is like, you want to make it. That's
so
the
yeah,
kind of
I
book
wanted
it is.
to make everything. When I picked up the book, I was like, yes, I want that immediately. I want that sweater.
I'm
I
gonna
want
borrow
all
this
of I want
and make
all of
everything.
these things. What's really cool is it's basically 4 specific stitch motifs. And then she gives you patterns for a pullover, a light shawl, a regular shawl, and then something for a child size out of each of those motifs. So there's like t-shirts, there's shawls,
show
there's
my fave.
towels. Just make sure you don't show the pattern because it is paid for.
Okay, so
And it's that thick,
the one that
glossy paper.
I mean, I want to make everything in here, but look at this one.
Is that the Imogen? So
Look
pretty.
at that.
The photography itself.
I cannot wait. I'm gonna
it's
make
incredible.
that. Also, like,
So that one comes in a cowl too.
look at this. Is this the same?
Yes,
but in
it's
a
the
cowl?
same pattern motif.
This is the kind of book that, like, everything
Yeah,
you want to make.
like I should have taken this summer off and just made everything in this book.
It's amazing.
So that
And
was
it smells
my
really good.
that was my pickup from
Salty
our
Yarns.
family exciting Ocean City trip. My other most recent oops, I did it again is my very first
Quince
Quince
and
and
Co.
So if you watched the Periscope I did on Friday, I showed these 2 together. This one is Paprika, and this one is Pigeon. They are 100% linen.
They're 50 grams.
They're
so
50 grams.
It's pretty small, but you got, what, a few of them?
I got 3 of this, and 1 of these.
Because guess what we're going to do?
We're having a knit-along!
Our first knit-along!
Our first knit-along!
Knitorious knit-along.
Yes.
So excited.
We haven't come up with a hashtag yet because we want to make sure there isn't one that's taken.
Hashtag Knitorious knit-along.
Okay. There
because
it is.
It's the first one.
Hashtag
so,
Knitorious knit-along. And we will be knitting this pattern.
It's a free pattern, right?
Yep, it's from Knit Picks. It's free. It's called the Split Back Tank.
It's super cute.
Super cute.
Good for summer.
Great for summer. And it's by Allison Griffith. And this is why it's called the Split Back, because it's actually split down the back.
We are so excited about this, our very first knit-along.
Carrie emailed me this pattern. I got the email from Knit Picks and was like, oh, that's cute. And then Carrie forwarded the email again to me in March, I think. And she's like, we have to knit this.
Yeah.
So when I put it out on Periscope, there were quite a few of you that were like, yes, I want to knit that too. So we're starting now and going until August 31st.
Yeah, is that what we said?
August 31st.
So you have essentially, today's July 4th. It's 4th of
Basically,
July. Happy 4th of July.
Happy 4th of July!
Oh, we're awful. So, yeah.
You
start
basically
now.
have 2 months.
You have 2 months.
And if we
it'll
get
still be hot then. So you can,
yeah.
Well, depending on where you live, you could still wear your split back tank.
And if we get to August and it doesn't seem like we're finishing, then we'll push it back because it's our first time. And as KT says, this is our podcast and we can make the rules.
Exactly.
So if we get there and it's not going well, then we'll push it back.
I think it'll be okay though. 2 months.
Yeah, Quince & Co. is what I'm using. The pattern calls for Knit Picks Lindy chain,
And
which
we
is
talked about,
cotton linen blend.
It's like really,
it feels like
stiff.
string.
And it doesn't feel good, but this is actually what KT is using. She's making that avocado bag, artichoke bag, and she's using the same thing, right?
Yeah.
And she said at first she didn't like it, but then it really started to grow on her, and she likes it now. So I think it'll be a really good material for this tank, and I want to make that bag she's making too.
Yeah.
And you said it blocks really well.
And our LYS is having a Quince & Co. trunk show coming up, so they might have good deals on this.
Really?
But it was rather affordable. I was worried with it being Quince & Co. and being a well-known brand that it would be a little bit on the pricey side for me. But I think I can make the whole tank top for... You could make the whole tank if you're doing Quince & Co. I think for $25 to $30. Which when you go into like an Anthropology or something and you're getting a knit tank top, it's similar in price. So I didn't feel like, you know, when you end up spending a lot on yarn for something that you could have gone to the store and bought. So yeah, that's our knit-along.
So
Hashtag Knitorious knit-along. I am going to do a gauge swatch today.
She needs to do one.
I wasn't going to do one, and I definitely cast on like 180 stitches or whatever it calls for, and then I immediately was like, I need to go back and do the gauge swatch. So I pulled it all off, and I'm going to do a gauge swatch.
Anything that's like a garment for an adult, I feel like you need to do. Unless it's a
I
scarf
think
or
the
socks.
keyword is
do
adulting. Like,
adulting. Hashtag adulting.
Yes. So that's our first knit-along, and we'll
so
open up a
excited.
thread in the Ravelry group.
Yay.
So that you can have chatter, and we'll do a finished objects. And if you are a maker out there,
and you'd
like to donate a prize,
that would be fantastic.
I was thinking you could maybe dye some yarn.
I could. Maybe Kristen will make us another piece of art that we can donate.
But if you're out there and you're a maker and you'd like to donate a prize for this knit-along, get in contact with one of us. For me, Instagram is the fastest way, at @doghairknits, to get a hold of me.
Same here, Instagram, or I check Ravelry messages pretty often, so message on Ravelry.
We'd love to share your product.
Yay!
Alrighty, so there's our Oops, I Did It Again / knit-along.
So then for our next segment, book bag. So we both kind of are book nerds. We love to read because we're teachers.
And because reading is important.
Reading is important. Educate
Do your
yourself.
summer reading, kids.
Do your minutes, guys.
I was about to send an email just this week to my students saying, make sure you're doing your summer reading.
Yeah. Hashtag nerd. So, I don't have anything in my book bag because I've kind of been trying to find a good book to read. I was starting to read Harry Potter again, but I'm kind of like, I want to just find a really good novel. And I started a couple that I didn't really like that much. So I don't have anything to talk about. But Kelly has a lot of books from her library stash.
Yeah.
In her book bag.
If you watched my Periscope, I went over a few of these because I had just gone to the library that day and I was so excited. So this was
they have
my
awesome knit books there.
The Hershey Public Library, right next to the park.
It's way better than E-Town stash.
This is actually from E-Town though. The Joy of Spinning.
Look how old it is.
What
year is it from? Oh my gosh, what year is that from?
1863. No, I'm kidding. I don't know.
The Joy of Spinning.
1971. /1991 was a republished.
This book is
But this I'm just gonna I don't know. Look at it. Another book that I got is this one.
This one's my favorite one.
Teeny Tiny Mochi Mochi. I decided that I cannot do, not that I can't do it, I don't want to do a Cozy Memories blanket.
Just put it out there.
I got a lot of minis. I went through a few months where I was doing quite a few swaps and got some beautiful minis. Sat down thinking about doing a Cozy Memories blanket and realized that the idea of it being mismatched, although I love patterns and I love things that don't always go together, I don't think I'd like the thought process of the Cozy Memory. Like, it would really bother me if I couldn't find that one color that I wanted to go with something else.
I think that's not for me either.
So what I'm going to do with my minis is make all these minis.
I want to make these minis too.
Okay.
Making bunnies is really fun, so I feel like these are along the same line. But they're like this big. You have to show them a picture of a comparison. Like, show them the pair.
Okay.
Which one are you looking for?
So, the book is separated into food minis and then everyday objects.
They're so cute, but they're so teeny tiny.
Alright, what is this one? Ah! So that is a computer mouse, and that is a tiny little knit computer.
So imagine the size of that. Like, that's a regular size computer mouse.
Teeny tiny. Fingering weight yarn, size 1 needles. Teeny, teeny, tiny. Here is, so these are inanimates.
So cute.
Little sailboat. And maybe I'll just find, okay. Look at that!
It's a gnome.
It's a little gnome. This makes me think of Andre Sue.
Can you show the pear that's on the back cover? Look at the pear. That's a regular pear.
Regular pear, tiny little knit pear.
The size of your fingertip.
And I think these would be adorable to stick inside someone's birthday card.
Oh my gosh.
Or make little cupcake earrings.
Yeah.
So this is how I'm going to knit through my minis. If you'd like to swap minis with me, I'll need a lot of solid minis. So if you have solid fingering weight minis and you'd be interested in sending them my way, hit me up on Instagram. And maybe we can either do a swap or some kind of exchange. I'd be down for that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the other book, knitting book. This is a non-knitting book. The Big Over Easy. This is called A Nursery Crime. And yes, it is an adult book. It is not a child's book. But it made me think of...
Show the back.
It's set up basically like an adult version of The Three Little Pigs have a book where it's written from... I know. Where it's written from the Big Bad Wolf's perspective. And this book is similarly written where they're trying to solve the crime of Humpty Dumpty falling off the wall. And I'm only a few chapters in, but this was a fun beach read. Because it makes you, like, I'm just laughing thinking of, they're trying to discover, like, the sordid life of Humpty Dumpty.
So fun.
And I just think that it's cute. So Jasper Ford is the author. The Big Over Easy. Not that far into it, but if you are interested, apparently nursery crimes are a new, like, section, genre of writing.
Interesting.
That's what's in my book bag.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, and a lot of ABA articles. A lot of research I'm reading right now.
So,
Last segment,
the pod nod. So, for pod nod, do you have...
I have been trying to catch up on previous podcasts. I'm still watching Yarn Lab Canada, which is the podcast I mentioned last week, because she has been very helpful in my spinning adventure.
So you learn a lot from her by watching her spinning adventures.
But nothing new to me yet, just because I'm trying to catch up on the old ones.
Yeah, I'm like way behind. I've caught up on some of my faves, like Grocery Girls and Inside Number 23, and some other ones. I still need to do some catching up, but I discovered the Dyer's Notebook podcast. I think one of you actually mentioned it in our Ravelry group.
I've heard of that before.
Yeah, she's actually really good friends with Kristen from Yarngasm, and she is obviously a dyer. So I watched a few of her videos, and she's really informative, and she shows what she has dyed and kind of like the benefit and things like that. Her and Kristen were actually recently together in New York. She went to visit Kristen in Brooklyn, and they had a vlog where they both dyed up skeins.
So cool.
Really cool for something. I can't remember what for. But, yeah, she had one segment where she talked about the color wheel and mixing colors and kind of like complementary colors and all those things. So kind of for amateurs, she did a little video like that, and she has different tutorials. So yeah, Dyer's Notebook, if you are interested in dyeing, or even if you're not, she's pretty fun to watch, so I would check her out if you haven't heard of her yet, which you probably have, because I think she's pretty popular.
I think so too.
So yeah, that's my Podnon.
So that's the end, right?
Have we mentioned everything?
Take 2.
Take 2. Hopefully it works this time.
We'll go on to Ravelry and start a thread for our Knitorious Knit Along for the split back tank. And if you're interested in sending prizes our way, get in touch with one of us. Dog Hair Knits on Ravelry and Instagram.
I am That Knit Life on Ravelry and Carrie Knits on Instagram.
And that's all.
That's a wrap, folks.
Thanks for staying.
Bye.
Bye.
Is that a bug, or is that from your bagel?
It's definitely a part of a bug. It is not.
Can we throw it out? Not on the floor!
Oh my goodness. So.